Big thanks to Unreal Gaming for being kind enough to send me this manga featuring his own original character. And I'm looking forward to watching him reach 1 million subscribers within the next year or so, an accomplishment only a few Dragon Ball YouTubers have ever achieved. And if you like this story and want to see more, naturally, he's a little ahead of me over on his own channel. The Saiyans were always known as a fierce and combative race, constantly battling and evolving, a never-ending constant which upholds the highest honors of those who strive to become the best they could possibly be. Unfortunately, due to the fear of a Saiyan rebellion leading to himself being overthrown, Frieza would have his way in annihilating planet Vegeta and all of its inhabitants. On this world, there was a Saiyan unlike any other, kept hidden from the king due to his abnormal power level at birth, combined with the fear of exile, like a particular infant before him. This special child was the offspring of 2 Saiyan elites. They named him Raikon. Zuli and Laxus, his mother and father, boarded the child onto the last remaining Saiyan space pod in hopes of escaping the planet after realizing Frieza's sinister plan. Speaking, Zuli asks where they can possibly send him. Surely her husband doesn't expect to just launch him into deep space without a designated location. But he's not completely sure what the best option is, only that anywhere is better than here. Luckily, the ship's presets are already programmed to target a habitable zone, and there is no time to make changes. The Space Lord's attack begins sooner than expected. He tells his wife it's too late, that ball of energy is about to end everything. The couple embrace as the pod begins to take to the air. While tears run down Zuli's face, Laxus apologizes to his son, but shouts he must live on and become the beacon of hope for the Saiyan people. Safely out of range of the devastation, Raikon is sent hurtling through the cosmos. His first glimpse of his own planet after opening his eyes was seeing his home world destroyed. He would soon land on the remote planet Akeem, a Type 5 civilization who were well known for their intelligence and incredible technology, a quiet yet advanced race. Its people found Raikon and chose to raise the boy, offering food and shelter, all the while learning of his unusually high power. After the Saiyan grew older, he became their king. But as his age advanced, so did his anger. He was a very serious and focused warrior, obsessed with his own training and evolution. Upon inquiring of the fate of his native people, he was informed by the Akemians the truth. Frieza had destroyed his home world of planet Vegeta and all the Saiyans who resided there. This caused Raikon to not only despise the Space Tyrant for killing his parents and destroying his home, but also the Saiyans themselves in the belief they were too cowardly to stand up to their oppressor, feeling they could have stopped him, but simply chose not to out of fear. In an empty room with what appears to be multiple versions of himself, he shouts for somebody to increase the strength of the clones. An Akemian respectfully argues after taking Raikon's current power into account that may not be such a good idea. But the Saiyan bellows he doesn't care, and to do what he says immediately. Even after reaching Super Saiyan 3, he doesn't feel he's hit a ceiling, knowing in his heart there's something beyond it, and will find out exactly what that is. The one controlling the computers, being the calculating creature he is, knows unless he transforms while fighting against the clones, the chance of him succeeding versus 3 full-powered Super Saiyan 2s is next to nothing. Though, this being the 4th simulation battle within the last 12 hours is quite incredible nonetheless. Due to the Akemians having very advanced technology, Raikon trained intensely and constantly, hell-bent on finding how far he could push himself. 4 hours would pass. Outmatched by the simulation, he notes how, time-wise, he has succeeded in surpassing his previous record. This means he can indeed still improve. Calling out to the guy in the control booth, he questions, since when has there been a full moon in this solar system? But being well aware of what that means, the Akemian frantically responds he not look at it. He can't help himself, as memories begin to resurface in Raikon's mind. Remembering this feeling, it gives him a glimpse of his parents and his home. The scientist in disbelief in what's going on, knowing full well there's little he or his people can do to stop a mindless Uzaru of this level. But he observes something strange that catches his curiosity. His fur. It's gold, which has never been the case before. Wondering what this could mean. Another Akemian approaches from behind, stating his power is unlike anything ever felt before, and it seems to only be growing, revealing this man to be the first native's teacher. The elder continues, explaining although Raikon is in a state of blind rage, he commands nobody challenge or bring attention to him. This is the roots of who he is, the power of his race, urging they let him learn to discover his inner sanity. Last time their king transformed, he was only a child, and while he caused many issues, because of that instance, they already know how to control the situation, urging his lesser to proceed to apply the appropriate measures.
By no means, no!
Asking his teacher if he heard that. The pair believe Raikon is trying to regain a sense of self-control, shouting to the Saiyan to remember who he is. Recommending to his master they move away. The elder comments on how Raikon's energy is beginning to grow abnormally. He agrees putting some distance between them and the Azoro may be a good idea. The Akemians are surprised to see they're still alive, realizing this is quite different from when the Saiyan was a child. This goes well past even their most optimistic predictions, noting their king's race is quite the interesting species indeed. Making sure his teacher can hear him, he checks to see if he's okay, but he's more in shock than anything else. Not only are they alive, but he's not convinced Raikon just tried to attack him. Peering from a cliff, they realize he has discovered a level that goes well beyond Super Saiyan 3, and its energy is unlike anything he's ever exhibited before. It feels raw and unstable. Curious, this is undoubtedly something. His eyes, hair, and power. This must be what he was searching for. Super Saiyan 4! Raikon somehow managed to tap into an unknown evolution to this state. Due to some kind of genetic mutation, he was able to maximize this form without losing power or stamina. This was the full power Super Saiyan 4 evolution. A long time after at the Akemians Research Center. Letting out a yawn, the Saiyan grows bored. Figuring he's recovered, he wants to find out how to fully maintain his new transformation and see what other limits he can break. There could be more forms yet to discover. Ready to train, he shouts for somebody to prepare the clones for another session. But with no response, he wonders if anyone is even here. Stumbling into an empty control room, he finds this whole situation strange, as this area is never left unmanned. Fortunately, he can sense everyone nearby at least, when something on the screen catches his attention. Walking over, turns out it's planet Earth. But what could be so interesting about it the Akemians would want to study it so thoroughly? Raikon has explored and conquered thousands of worlds in this galaxy, and he didn't know there were any he was unaware of, bringing us back to why it caught the attention of the natives here. Knowing it must be something important, he taps a few buttons to find out what they've documented. With the others, Sensei decided to give his student a thwomp on the head, who sheepishly questions if that was really necessary. His master quarrels his disciple still has much to learn, and to stop being so lazy. Entering the room to find Raikon has discovered the reason behind their curiosity on our planet, having data on both Goku and Vegeta regarding their power and transformations. They assure the king they were going to inform him when he was ready, but not turning around. He grits his teeth, inquiring if he is supposed to be the lone survivor of his race. Then who are these two? Explaining this away the best he can, he was believed to be the last remaining child to escape planet Vegeta's destruction. But just recently, others were discovered. Shouting for him to shut up, the Saiyan grunts he doesn't care how they managed to survive. The point is they shouldn't have, and it's scum like them who allowed Frieza to purge their home planet, taking everything away from what they had worked so hard to create. And now they mean to tell him there are more of these cretins, accusing the pair of studying them behind his back, which is probably why they managed to find out so much about the Super Saiyan forms. Raikon's blood boils at the thought of them being able to live freely. What's more, according to the data, they are sons of the cowards King Vegeta and Bardock. Turning back to the screen, he's set on heading there himself. He needs to find this Goku and Vegeta, and after he's done with these two tailless freaks, he feels it's time he pays Frieza a visit as well. Interjecting, he informs his lord Frieza has been dead for quite a while now, but these Saiyans on Earth, as you can see, are incredibly powerful. One of them even battled against the god of destruction Beerus a few months ago, and that's only where their readings dropped off. if he could speak freely. He suggests that since they're so far away and yelling over him, Raikon doesn't care to hear his objections. From what the data says, they're still much weaker than himself. Merely using the regular Super Saiyan form will suffice plenty to eliminate him. Furthering, he scowls they've lost the right to explain the moment he found out about their deception, reminding he is the ruler of this planet, and being they kept this information hidden is enough to banish them from this very world. Admitting he cares for them too much to simply take their lives. So they should consider themselves lucky, but these actions will not go unchecked. Continuing to go on spouting his hatred for all cowardly Saiyans, sickened by how ready they were to always fight, until it came to standing up to their greatest challenge, and all but a handful were too spineless to not crumble under the pressure. Saying about all he needs to say, he turns to the younger Akeemian, commanding he go and prepare a ship. But the elder continues his objections, stating under no circumstances should he go to that planet. He's already made his decision, however. He will not allow a Saiyan who doesn't even have a tail call himself a Saiyan. These two on Earth have gone unpunished for too long, and since this Goku fellow is the stronger of the pair according to their research, he is the one who will receive the first visit. Mocking, "Let's see what you can do, Saiyan." Minutes later, Raikon beckons that the ship has been readied, which it has indeed. And with the arrangements they've made, he should arrive on Earth within a few hours. Eager to get his mission started, he decides there's no reason to wait any longer to board. Again calling out for his leader, the Saiyan asks what he wants, and if he's come to stop him, it won't work. With a stern look, he warns his decision has been made, and they've kept those other Saiyans from him long enough. But that's just the problem. They only refrained from informing Raikon because they knew the first thing he would do was try to destroy him, assuring not all Saiyans are at fault for what happened on planet Vegeta, and the Saiyans on Earth are surely not the reason Raikon's life has ended up where it is. In fact, at one point they even battled Frieza on Namek. Feeling he owes an explanation, he states Raikon's power is unlike anything they've ever seen before. This includes data collected from Goku and Vegeta. He is quite a rare breed. He had hoped, as a teacher, he had prepped the Saiyan for everything he would face, and he has surpassed all expectations and achieved power that no other mortal has. And to be blunt, they don't want to lose him. Replying, Raikon has spent his entire life mourning his parents who gave their lives to make sure he survived. When it was time for his people to answer the ultimate call to protect the only place they had to call home, they tucked their tails and accepted fate rather than fight. They sat by and let everything be destroyed. Why should the sons of the weak be allowed to live? Does it not bother them their people were murdered in cold blood? Raikon refuses to sit back and allow his mother's and father's sacrifice, along with the sacrifice of the brave, be in vain. Without the Akeemians though, he himself would probably be dead, and he would do anything to protect this world and its people. As a matter of fact, the Akeemian before him, his mentor, is the first and only friend he's ever had, and for that, he has his loyalty. But he has trained his entire life for this moment and will not let it pass. He needs the truth. He needs to know everything. So his decision is final in venturing to Earth. The Saiyan reminds he will always be a father figure in his life, bringing the slightest of smiles to the old-timer's face. Though he does warn he not get too excited, he is still very angry with him at the moment, which he knows. But hiding the existence of other Saiyans was never meant to harm Raikon in any way. Regardless, he won't be going to Earth alone. He has decided to join him on this journey, coming as a big surprise, as he's never done so before. Wanting to know his reasoning, the Akeemian explains he'd like to monitor Raikon's actions and get a closer analyzation of the others, ushering him to the ship. Aboard, the Saiyan stew's ready to leave, but to make all the proper preparations, it'll be about 1 more hour before takeoff. Another crew member pops his head around the corner to inform they're almost ready. Taking notice of all the others on deck, he questions if they're coming too. And if so, he will not be held responsible for anything that happens to him. Actually, this individual will be piloting today, but his mentor assures nobody will be getting in the way of the fight and are ordered to stay aboard this vessel the entire time. Changing the subject, Raikon asks what kind of armor this is before him, as it appears different than the others they made for him previously, finding it strange but light and comfortable at least. Of course, this is the gear worn by the Saiyans and are excellent for combat. Even his parents wore something very similar to it. Taking a bit of interest in the history of the design, he feels armor like this should be put to good use. Vowing, with honor and great pride, he dons the attire of his fallen people. The blood of the strongest flows in his veins, and he swears on his life he will never perish to the weak and restore the ways of the mighty. Finally ready for takeoff, and interrupting Raikon's noble speech. Annoyed, the Saiyan requests since they're stuck with this pilot, he doesn't want to be disturbed during the trip. Quelling his concerns, his mentor asks what the plan is once they arrive. Savagely, he promises to make the Earth Saiyans choke on their own blood after he beats them into the dirt. And although the battle may prove challenging, he is ready, longing for a fight which could test the limits of his power. And this could be that moment. He plans to show these worms what true Saiyan power is. He will get his answers and revenge on the weak. Believing it's time for a universal paradigm shift, he's been saving a hidden power. And now is the perfect opportunity.